First of all, you want to tell us a little bit about the history of the farm?
Yes, we bought the place in 1923, and for a number of years it had been used as a dairy farm, and the hay had been cut and cut and cut and nothing put back, so that the soil had pretty well run down at the time. And we had another farm in Brighton, and we used this farm to grow vegetables and took them into Brighton and sold them on a stand there. And gradually, by using cover crops and manure and leaves that were picked up on the street, we gradually built the soil up so that we were able to grow a good crop of vegetables. We did that from 1923 until about 1950 when we went into the broiler business. And from then on, we only grew a few wholesale crops of vegetables, and most of our time was spent on the broilers. And incidentally, while we had the broilers, of course, we had a surplus manure, and which we put on the land, and that built it up more. Mm-hmm. And so I was glad to see you people come along and use the land, as it was lying idle and accomplishing nothing. And I think you've done a very good job on it.
How long had it been since there was anything farmed there at all?
Since about 1955.
I first got interested in the idea of the farm. A couple of kids had talked about it, back in the winter, that they would like to do something along these lines. And I've been playing around with the idea, so we, looked around town and tried to find an appropriate area to do some farming. And so the Audubon Society let us use this property here, and it's up, can't see it from here, but up on the hillside we have about 2 acres where we're growing. You can walk around later and pick the corn and steal the tomatoes, whatever you want to do afterwards. We also have a small piece up on the center of town, up on Beacon Street. And the kids have been working on it, along with myself and Bob White, who's our professional farmer. The rest of us are just hacks. And we've been planting since early April, I guess. And we have a farm stand set up over here where we've been selling the stuff, as well as selling it around town and in Boston, various places. And I kind of see the project myself as being a community effort, a community partnership, or whatever. We've involved a lot of people in the whole process. We've used the Elliott Church in Natick for a sponsor. We've used some old farmers who live around here who aren't farming anymore. We're using the Audubon Society, the town itself, the Parks and Recreation Department. Some local companies have contributed different things. And I kind of feel that was important, because I don't think the whole thing would have happened at all if we hadn't involved lots of different groups. We received some resistance, like from the town, in terms of just doing the different things we had to do, like take money in and pay money out. The town wouldn't let us do it, so we had to get a sponsor. We needed trucking and tractors, and the town has contributed those kinds of things. So I think it's been important that we've involved different agencies, different companies, different organizations throughout the town. We've tried to run it as democratically as possible. Maybe the kids won't agree with that. I don't think it's democratic. But we've tried to give them as much of the decision-making power as possible, letting them decide what we're going to do, what we're going to do with the money, some of the general planning that goes into the project. The money has been, all the money we've taken in has been paid out again to the kids, and that's their only source of income on the project. They've been making, so far, 60 cents an hour, so they're obviously not in it for the money. Some of the kids have been getting paid this summer through the Neighborhood Youth Corps as well. I think so far we've made maybe $1,000 out of sales.
Well, do you know what kind of tomatoes we have?
No.
They are real sweet and good. Okay, that'll be a nice day to sit out today. 68.
The shares needed money to get started, to buy seeds and tools. So we sold little certificates. I get a lot of people here sold certificates to people in town, relatives, neighbors, friends, for $5. And the person would then be able to take the share and redeem it for $5 worth of vegetables at the stand.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
Yeah.
Two ladies came up yesterday with a piece of paper, white piece of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen them.
What to do with it?
With Ken knew what to do with it.
Oh.
I let him take care of it because I didn't know anything about it.
Okay. I think that stimulated interest from the community and helped us get some money together.
You raise them yourself?
Yes, we do.
How much is this?
Okay, it's 40 and 50 cents.
Come on, Mr. Jolly, he's here. Have you got a dime? All I got's $1.
Tomatoes look
Just gave it to me.
Did I give you the
50
whole?
cents.
Okay, it's all right, Ann. It's all right. He says I give him enough. I didn't think I did. Thank you.
nice day.
Tomatoes, zucchini, squash, beans. Some beans, tomatoes.
Hello. Hi. How much are tomatoes?
Tomatoes are 10 cents each for the big ones, 5 for the small ones.
Well, look good. Having any corn today?
No, I'm sorry, raccoon ate it all.
I'm gonna put a price tag on this one right now.
What do you think of our produce?
Well, I'm really happy with the quality of produce that you have been bringing in the last few weeks here. Our store specializes in natural foods and organic foods. We only buy organic food, and I'm really happy to be getting the quality food that you're bringing in, plus the different types. It's a little difficult now for local organic farmers to get started, you know, and we're attempting to provide a market for them, and you've been supplying us with all the vegetables that we've been needing.
That's good. What do you think about our prices? Are they reasonable?
Very good. You're very cooperative in setting the prices and helping us determine what it would sell for, and then we share that profit, we share that price.
Okay. Do you think that it's good that young people are working on this farm?
Yeah, I'm really excited by the idea that young people are getting interested in farming again, and that it's an organic farm. It's a healthy approach to the land. It's it's keeping the land in good shape.
So you think it's a good idea for other communities to start a farm like this?
Yeah, it makes real good sense for local communities to be producing their own food, rather than having it trucked all the way across the country or flown, whatever, brought in from other countries. It just makes ecological sense to produce food locally. And one of the ways of viewing food is that's what's grown locally is what's good for you to eat. It just makes sense that way.
Where did you go? How do you feel about farming? You said you never tried it.
I think it's fun. I like farming.
It's fun?
Yeah.
You don't think it's fun?
I don't think it's fun. It's work.
Hard work.
It's work. I had this impression that it might have been fun when I went out there. And then I went out there, it was a lot of hard work.
Well, I think it's harder than like a small guy.
I got satisfaction out of it, yeah. But it wasn't, my idea of fun.
I think of it like to some people it got, to me too, at times it's got to be a commitment, and at times it didn't seem really so much like it was fun. It's like you had to be there.
I learned a lot. I felt like I was learning a lot, but recently it's just kind of settled down, and all we're doing is picking and the same routine things, and it was getting to be a commitment. And when I first started, I was attracted because it wasn't a commitment, that you could go down whenever you wanted to, but it started to get to be a little bit of a commitment.
Yeah, but I think we kind of straightened that out, whereas you don't have to go down now. Like if you want to go to Boston, or if you want to, do something else, go to the beach or something, you don't have to come down. You should let other people know so that they'll have people at the stand and stuff. But you're free to go.
Does it make any difference to people that it was harder, or maybe required more commitment than you might have thought at first? How do you look at that now?
What do you mean?
Well, it's hard, like the soil was hard to work, and things went wrong.
Well, it's all part of learning. I think sometimes having it hard is good because you get to see that, sometimes if things are easy, you really don't get the full understanding of it, And I think, you think back on people who lived here 200-300 years ago, and, the Indians and stuff, and how they had to do stuff too, and they must have had a really hard time too. Not everything went right. You learn through trial and error, It's not like you're gonna make mistakes, and if you don't think you are, then you really shouldn't even get involved.
Yeah, I think we had a credibility problem, like people didn't think that this was going to work. They thought it was going to be these kids would get out there and they'd screw around for a little while, and they'd find that farming was a drag, and they'd go home and that would be the end of it, and the field would just be a big mess of weeds. So they weren't going to make any commitment to it, but the farm, in terms of producing some crops, was a small success, and I think people see that, and now it'll be easier in the future to get help. Also, to me, it's important because it shows the town that you can take some land, or you can take some resources that the town has, and use them, and rather than just building houses on an empty piece of land, or putting up a factory, or paving it over with tar. You can grow something on it. You can give people something to do, which is sort of interesting. I thought farming was interesting, so I'd never done it before. Folks, could you start circulating? You come right up here and help yourselves. And there's plates and napkins and so forth, and cider, and just go right around and pick yourself a seat. We've been working on it since February, trying to get the whole thing together. And, at times it didn't seem like we were going to, have anything to eat at a harvest banquet. But, we managed to survive the elements, and, with a few good breaks, and I think a lot of hard work and a lot of help, a lot of cooperation from people in the community, we were able to pull it off. I want to thank the kids a lot, because a lot of times there were points when the work really got hard, and it got to seem, you know, rather useless and meaningless at times. But
The weeds.
right, definitely. And
Next year will be easier.
right.
Yeah, next
The
time.
potato beetles took over, and everything else, rabbits and woodchucks and raccoons and everybody else. But we managed to survive, and they stuck with it, and I think they deserve a hand as well.
It's the 1st of November, and we've come back to look at things in retrospect and decide what we got out of the summer.
I think that the farm provided an atmosphere where people could bring their problems because it was free. The field, it was like there wasn't any restrictions. You could just say what you wanted to say. And I think that people who had problems, who came and worked on the farm, really got a lot out of the farm because we could talk and just, you know, talk about our philosophies and find out about other people, and it really improved our relationships.
Yeah, I think I got a chance to be with people my own age, and that may not have happened otherwise. If I just worked at a store, my relationships would have been really limited, and here I think I got to be really close with, like, you two and everything.
And I think that I got to be close with, like, people that weren't my age, too, though, like supervisors and stuff, and I found out that they were just as human as I, that, you know, they had problems, and they brought them to our attention, too.
Well, it's something to do. Otherwise, it would have been a wasted summer. That's what my summers are usually like.
Yeah.
I was really involved in just meeting the people and working with the land. It was a good experience.
Yeah, it was someplace to go every day.
Yeah.
You know, usually you have these long, endless summer days ahead of you, and you'd say, what am I going to do today?
And it was...
Any day at all, you could go down.
Yeah.
Right.
There's always something to do.
You didn't have to come down every day, but when you wanted to come down, it was such a nice, peaceful, and natural environment, you know, just to come away from, you know, your streets and everything, and just come to a field where there was no streets and there was birds and all kinds of different things. Like, not only did I learn how to plant vegetables and stuff, but I learned a lot about the insects and the animals. Like, we saw woodchucks in the field and everything, and we saw all kinds of different animals.
Which insects came out with which vegetables and things.
Yeah. Had to tolerate them.
Right. I thought it was kind of neat that the farm was so close to my house, but at the same time, I definitely felt like I was getting away from home. You know, that wasn't closing in on me being home the whole summer. You know, it was like a whole different world to come down here.
Yeah.
I felt isolated from the rest of my small world.
And I think that the people that we met, we got really close with.
Yeah.
And we might not have met those types of people. There was all kinds of different people here, and some people who had drug problems, and some people who had, you know, psychiatric problems and stuff like that. And it, you know, it was really neat getting to meet different people and talk about our problems.
Also, talking about meeting older people, there were younger people too. Than, you know, some of my younger sister is 13, some of her friends, just to get to be close to them and be on the same level with them.
I think it's also important that, like, for a community to start a community farm, it's like using the land to keep the land for future use, like, so you're not just Like,
instead of the land just sitting there wasted.
right.
Using it.
And then if like people pave over the land, then that's gone and you can't use it again. But once you start a garden, then it's there every year for use for the next year.
Yeah.
And it's a really good thing.
I know, it's not even as if that was the summer and the summer's over. It just ran right into this year. Like, usually when I do something during the summer, I forget about it and it becomes totally separated from my school life. But we still go to meetings and
planning it for
right,
the next year.
And I still see the people that I don't think I would have been friends with had I not met them through the farm. I still see them this year, and they're a big part of my school life too.
I think that the farm is going to be a little more organized next year. This year was the first year that we had a farm, and like we were all new to it. Even our supervisor, who was the only professional farmer in the deal, didn't know that much about it.
Yeah,
you know, like,
he was unexperienced.
It was a learning experience for all of us. And we had problems, you know, deciding what we should do and just getting our work organized. And so this year, we're going to set up like a different program for next year. We're going to have it so that people have specific types of things that they can do in the field every day, and everybody shares the workload at the farm stand. And we know what to expect for next year. We're going to have more. We're going to have like 6 acres, much more land than this year because we only had like a couple acres this year. And we're going to, I think it's going to be better next year. Like each year it'll get better.
Yeah, I remember in the middle of the summer, a lot of people saying, this is not going to work out, and I myself was really wanted to quit the whole thing. But it finally did work out, and I'm really glad. Yeah, I'm glad that I stuck with it.
It seemed like, because it wasn't that organized, I didn't learn as much as I could have, but I think I did learn a lot. Like in the middle of the summer, I was thinking that I wanted to quit too because it seemed like we were doing the same things, but looking back, I realized that I learned a lot of things just on my own, just being in the field and watching the nature and watching the plants grow, and you really learn a lot and you experience a lot by that.
Yeah. first of all, you want to tell us a little bit about the history of the farm?
Yes, we bought the place in 1923, and for a number of years it had been used as a dairy farm, and the hay had been cut and cut and cut and nothing put back, so that the soil had pretty well run down at the time. And we had another farm in Brighton, and we used this farm to grow vegetables and took them into Brighton and sold them on a stand there. And gradually, by using cover crops and manure and leaves that were picked up on the street, we gradually built the soil up so that we were able to grow a good crop of vegetables. We did that from 1923 until about 1950 when we went into the broiler business. And from then on, we only grew a few wholesale crops of vegetables, and most of our time was spent on the broilers. And incidentally, while we had the broilers, because we had a surplus manure, and which we put on the land, and that built it up more. And so I was glad to see you people come along and use the land, as it was lying idle and accomplishing nothing. And I think you've done a very good job on it.
How long had it been since there was anything farmed there at all?
Since about 1955.
I first got interested in the idea of the farm. A couple of kids had talked about it, back in the winter, that they would like to do something along these lines. And I've been playing around with the idea, so we, looked around town and tried to find an appropriate area to do some farming. And so the Audubon Society let us use this property where we're growing. You can walk around later and pick the corn and steal the tomatoes, whatever you want to do afterwards. We also have a small piece up on the center of town, up on Bacon Street. And the kids have been working on it, along with myself and Bob White, who's our professional farmer. The rest of us are just hacks. And we've been planting since early April, I guess. And we have a farm stand set up over here where we've been selling the stuff, as well as